Welcome to the Last Week This Week review of Ironheart, episodes 4 through 6. I'm Ian Scott.
And I'm Zack Huber.
And as always with our reviews, we're going to start off with some non-spoiler discussion, give our first thoughts, and then get into some spoiler talk and get into the real meat of the finale there. But yeah, let's get into it. What'd you think of this final 3 episodes?
I feel like it. The internet would not like my take on the last 3 episodes, I guess.
I might not like your take either.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so general impressions. There's problems. There's problems in these last 3 episodes.
Oh yeah,
but none of it really made me hate or want to stop watching the show. Like, I found myself having a general, and this was surprising for me. Okay, I found myself having a genuinely having, for the most part, an enjoyable time watching the show. There are viewpoints that I could do without. There was a lot of stuff that I had to suspend a lot of disbelief for yet again. But overall, I think the ending wasn't as amazing as I feel like people made it out. Some of the early reviews made it out to be. But I do like and was surprised by how it ended. The way that the show ended. I feel like if this had been made under, I think this show came out, it was shot 3 years ago under the Bob Chapek mandate.
It was filmed back in late 2022.
Yeah. And I feel like if there was more of a guiding hand and maybe a little bit more of an auteurist or single vision, maybe even make the show more of a character study than it was, then the ending would have been even more satisfying, which we can get into that with spoilers. But yeah, I mean, the general impression, I'm probably the minority here that I didn't completely hate it, and I don't necessarily think it's I don't think that people think it's the worst thing, but I definitely think that people don't like it, which I enjoyed it. I could potentially see myself watching it again, which is weird to say, but
I don't disagree with you completely, because the last episode is where I really had a good time, but episodes 4 and 5 were a struggle for me to get through at points. I was taking notes throughout watching those last 3 episodes, and I even color coded them before our podcast or review right now, and so many of those notes are in the red or orange, just complaints. But then episode 6 comes around and they're mostly green. So I'm but I just think there were so many character writing flaws and just story flaws that just oh gosh. And what we talked about it last week, but we really didn't want Ezekiel Stain to turn into something, and he did exactly what we both didn't want. And
which I guess if I read the comics, I was more depth avid Marvel comic reader. I guess it's silly of me to have that thought, but when coming into it fresh, I was like, do we really want to go that route? And it kind of went almost exactly the way that I was thinking it.
Exactly.
I didn't want it to go. And but I guess for somebody who's read the comics, they're well, I mean, it's from the comics, but it's coming at it fresh. I just think it's bad storytelling. Weird way to, it just felt like the wrong way to go, personally.
No doubt. And I think there's that flaw with most of the characters in the last, I don't know, a few episodes. I think he's probably the worst that they do it to. I will go into a bunch of my reasons. But I think what was, like I said, what was so exciting was introducing this brand new character in the last episode, kind of making it all have some real weight to it, right? And then there's a decision at the very end that I'm really into. I could really be into a continuation of the story, but maybe not like a season 2, you know, like.
Well, I actually would be down for a season 2.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah.
Well, just even taking my feelings out of it, about my enjoyability. If you gave Ironheart a season 2, but you put as much care into it that they have been with these newer projects up, it would be better. And I think that there's enough
well, and the story they lay out there is better already than like what was season 1 story, you know?
Well, but I was gonna say even season 1, there's just there's a lot of topics that they were diving into that could be like they could expand upon. Like there's but they just never dive really deep into race relations, or at least what it means to be a person of color and also want to make it in the world. There's also talk of moral, what does it mean to do the right thing, do the wrong thing.
And that's part of what I enjoyed with this season. To be honest, I really did enjoy Riri grappling with knowing what she should be doing and what was right and what was wrong, and what was right and what was wrong for her. And I think what was also really powerful throughout the season was her reoccurring issues with anxiety and panic attacks, right? I really was into it. In episode 4, particularly, she gets into a little bit of a tense panic and paranoia, and it's I think that's the best part of that whole episode is her struggling with it.
Yeah, there's kind of the anxiety, mental healthy kind of way going about it. A lot of talk about technology and death, and even when they get into the more magical side of things, there's still room there that it could have been really cool to expand upon or dive deeper into or spend more time on than they did.
Right.
So I think there's enough things going on in Ironheart, especially with how they ended it. And granted, they even have that post-credit scene, which we'll get into, which leads me to believe that we're probably going to get an Ironheart season 2. As long as it's just okay. We'll get into spoilers in just a second, but the thing is, I just don't know how. If the name of the game is we don't want our movies to feel like homework, even maybe our TV shows to feel like homework, I don't know how you continue this story without it either having a season 2 or some way making a Young Avengers kind of it still wouldn't give justice to the new storyline that's been introduced, the new deal, the characters have been changed in ways that there's a lot of backstory to now, and I just don't know how you do that without making a season 2. I think I could see your point. I think the problem with that theory is that they have set up all of their movies and TV shows to have a sequel, it feels like, and so many of them do not come true. But it didn't used to be that up until the Bob Chapek mandate, and I'm saying we're going into not doing that. I don't know how you don't do that, and I think there's enough good and interesting character work going on, or that could be done very well if you go into a what a shame it would be if after Doctor Who, when it rebooted with Christopher Eccleston, you never got David Tennant's season where he took over the role, and then going to Matt Smith's just because you had the one season that wasn't fantastic, And I think that there's so much now. Granted, it's a much different production and budget and stuff, but I think what's frustrating is that we get we're like, oh, the first season didn't do well, canceled, no more, but you see Daredevil, and Daredevil actually did worse numbers than people anticipated it to. But it gets a second season. More people watched Agatha.
It got a second season because they had already greenlit it for a second season before it came out.
But But Agatha does better numbers, and that doesn't necessarily get a second season.
Well, it's because Agatha was never like, even the showrunner was like, I never planned for it to get a second season. I don't want to do a second season. And Marvel's like, we're doing the third part of that story in Vision Quest, apparently.
Anyways,
So,
we're getting off.
We're getting off topic. Look, I think there's some world where we get a second season. I think it wouldn't be too hard to like catch audiences up in like a Champions or Young Avengers movie, and like they do it that way.
I think it would be a little difficult to catch them
I don't know.
up personally.
I disagree, but
the last time
it's just a couple of like plot points you got to put in, you know.
So,
but let's get into spoilers if you want to. Yeah. Well, let's start with some episode 4 here. There's a lot of weird choices for me in this episode. Like, I think the one thing was like at the very end of the episode, I'll just jump to that. Like, Parker is like, okay, now I'm gonna set out the hit on Riri, right? But like the whole episode, he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna like let you hang out at my base and like hang with my crew, and like, but I know you did it. You know, it was just like a weird, like I was like, what was he waiting for? And I guess like you could say maybe he was waiting for her replacement, but that was just like a weird, you know, like decision to be like, yeah, now episode 5 is when I'm gonna hunt you, not episode 4 though.
I feel like it was partially to keep her guessing if he knew or not, and like just kind of have her guard down, and then maybe even a little bit of maybe here's your last chance to like really tell the truth, but it never like happens. I don't know. It didn't really bother me.
Sure.
But
I mean, positive though is like I really liked like her, like Riri and like her mother's like relationship in this episode. Like the mom even got like better for me. Like she had like a real like attitude towards Riri, and I totally understood where she was coming from. Like all she wanted was for her to be able to rely on her and like tell her the truth. But like, and I guess a part of like that, like the good relationship there was like a thing that Riri said that really pissed me off. That was like, what was it? She was basically saying like, you want me to deal with things your way when I need to do them my way. And I'm like, that's not what your mom is saying at all. Like, what is that response? Like, I was like, where are you getting that? You know, like your mom just wants you to open up to her. That's it. Tell her the truth.
Yeah, I guess for me, like, it felt like she was like, you're forcing me to do something that I'm not ready to do yet, or come around to it in my own way.
I guess.
But sure.
But she still ended up taking like her mom's advice in the end and being like, we got to stay in Chicago. We got to fight this out, you know?
Well, if we want to talk about that, I would is 4 the episode where they go to their friend's magic shop?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
yeah.
So
that was interesting.
In theory, all of the magic stuff, could work. And to a degree, some of it started to, and then some of it also didn't. And let me like get into specifically.
I didn't really have a problem with this part, to be honest, but that's funny.
So when we get to Stanton's, which I can't remember if we know the mom, like the owner of the shop, from anything.
I've never seen her.
But when we get there and, you know, like Riri's mom and Riri are talking to her daughter, who's like kind of running the cashier, the register. And we're all of a sudden, you know, what's that in your pocket? I know this thing. Let me show you this magic trick. And then we're all of a sudden dropped into this other dimension, this other
they're like
plane of existence,
laboratory or whatever you want to call it.
And Riri's mom's reaction was so
nonchalant.
Nobody was freaking out, and it screamed to me that it was like we don't want to focus on the like implications or the realization of this, because then like we only have so much time to tell this story, which I think is a detriment because it made things start to feel so unbelievable.
Well, yeah, and that scene, like looking back on it, is really rushed. Like they are just like flying through, like diagnosing.
Yes, they're flying through it, and then they are like, "Oh no, get that out of here!" It's tied to this really big dark thing, which I think you could, from miles away, figure out who that was, which we'll get into at the end. But then it leads to that scene. And so like the introduction of real life magic that neither Riri or her mom seem to like be.
Well, to be fair, Riri's come in contact with magic recently,
but not to that degree. Like that was like full on like, and they're talking about lots of heady concepts, and they don't even know what Kamar-Taj is and all this stuff.
I almost feel like they did that to not have like the viewer go through that like again. Like the viewer at this point in the MCU is so like accustomed to all this like magic shit that like to see two characters freak out about it might just be like, I don't know, boring or run of the mill. But I don't know.
I don't know. I think it speaks to the problems that people have, like I do, with phases 4 and 5, which is none of this is special anymore. You know, when a huge being shows up in the sky, the fucking whole world just keeps going on like nothing's different. And that's what's insane is like people would like, it's this, I know I haven't seen Jurassic Rebirth yet, but I know that the premise of that is everyone's just bored of dinosaurs and they're interrupting my life. If you saw a giraffe on the fucking bridge or wherever you need to go and it's blocking traffic, you'd be like, holy shit, that's a giraffe. And we know giraffes and been living with giraffes for fucking forever. You're telling me people got bored of dinosaurs? And so it's like people are bored of magic. Like they're just like, oh yeah, magic, it happens in this world. Let's just move on.
Yep.
So her mom, who says that it's her job to protect her, which that happens later on, she's like, you've been frozen, you fled, but you never fought. And it's like you're dealing with this entirely new magical dark being thing that you only have a suit at this point up against. And
not even. The suit's gone.
You.
The suit's gone at this point. No, wait, maybe it's, but I think that's like episode 5. But like,
Either way, I think you're right. That is like episode 5.
Yeah. And the suit's gone at that point,
but like all this shit has happened, and mom's like, we gotta fight. You gotta fight, and it's like, what kind of parenting advice is that? That's insane.
It is insane, especially because they logically should have never been able to make another suit out of like the shit they made it with. I mean, that is my biggest. My jaw just dropped in amazement of like how shit of writing.
It was a cool montage scene, though. I did enjoy the montage.
I guess I couldn't believe that they just want us to believe that like Riri's gonna make an even better suit out of car parts and scrap car garage parts. Like that makes sense.
No, that I always knew that they were gonna make the suit out of the car. I knew that was coming.
Sure.
And I agree. Like whether it's 24 hours, whether it's 72 hours, whatever amount of time that it was,
ever that they could do it.
No, there's no way. It was pretty crazy.
And the suit looked like pristine. I mean, didn't look like it was made out of a car.
Yeah.
Like if it was beat up and like crazy looking like Tony's like Mach 1 suit, sure, got no problem with it.
Yeah, and
this was like an advanced one.
I don't know if this is a hot take, but I prefer the one that we've been seeing most of the time.
I actually agree with you. I do agree with you. It feels more Iron Man-y than like I guess give her own identity. I guess that's nice, but like
it's just that suit seems so like.
Yeah,
Power Ranger cartoon.
Oh, I could see it. Yeah, for sure.
Now, getting to some of like the stuff that I did enjoy.
Well, hold on. There's one more montage I want to like shout out here real quick before we get to the good stuff. It really pissed me off where she was like working on trying to figure out how to destroy the hood, right?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you've already done it. in episode 3, you cut off a piece of his hood, meaning it can be destroyed. I mean, it made zero sense. I mean, I was like, did you just forget what you did last episode? It blew my mind. Like,
that is interesting.
Right?
Guess I never thought about it.
So we had a whole montage for nothing.
Yeah, that's true. That is kind of stupid when you think about it.
It's really stupid, yeah.
Well, anyways.
But go on. Yeah.
Some of the stuff that I enjoyed, and I'm probably not going to touch on everything because I'm not going to remember everything. But I really enjoy the actress who plays Natalie. I think like as the show has gone on and the more that she kind of tries to learn about who she is, through watching like these videos of herself and developing a relationship or trying to show the things that Riri has like blocked out of her past, and even having a desire to connect with her brother. I think all of that I enjoyed the, even though I don't know if it really amounted to very much, unfortunately, like I enjoyed the flashback scene with her dad and with her stepdad.
I feel ya. It's nice, but it's like it's another flawed scene for me because like you're trying to show that like this is from Riri's memories, but then it's like a fixed point of view that it's like projecting from, and like you're seeing Riri in the memory. Like it should be from Riri's point of view, you know? But it's just a scene playing out, and I'm like, how the fuck did you get this?
Well, this is some
right.
This is for me. I would imagine that it's a very advanced AI, and if we're taking this off of Riri's memories, could it be possible for it to expand upon like 3D map it to the space that we're in, compute what everything would need to look like to be able to do
I can give you that, but in the final fight when she uses it again against Red Hood, or not Red Hood, I said Red Hood, that's hilarious, against the Hood, it's a memory that doesn't exist. It's like it's a whole new, you know, it's her begging for her life while the suit is like scattered around her. Right. And so they would have had no time to film that. Like there's no way. And she doesn't have an AI at that point. So how are you doing this?
I mean, you can't, I don't know if I can necessarily say like film it when like you can ask an AI to generate.
But she doesn't have an AI anymore. Natalie's gone at episode 6.
I mean, yeah, there's things like maybe it's the magic.
Oh God, that pissed me off too. They didn't have. She didn't train or like do anything before like going right to the fight.
I know, and
then she just pulls out like a counteract magic spell.
Yeah,
and you're like,
which is
how did you do that?
How did you do that?
Yeah,
Doctor Strange like trained for months.
Yeah, and you just whip it out of nowhere. Like I don't know, man. Like,
yeah, it was not good
season.
But yeah, like there's lots of like I want to touch on one more good thing, but like before I guess I lose my train of thought, I think Riri suffers from I don't mean this in a I like the character of Riri. I actually have come around to like enjoying her. And I think she's an interesting character.
I think she's pretty good. Yeah.
But she's like a little too gifted in too many like ways, if that makes sense. Like even Tony struggled with certain things. Like he's not the best always like hand-to-hand like combatant. Not to say that Riri is either, but the way that she's like, I know all this science stuff, and like there's also the technology, and also for some reason I'm able to fend off these two like trained fighters in the
that's another one. That's another scene that pissed me off.
White Castle.
Yeah,
or
like so you're selling the muscle.
I'm like the grenades are blowing up, and I can protect myself with this.
Oh, dude, that blew my mind.
Like cooking sheet.
I was so mad at both of those things, and I'm like, you're telling me the muscle of the entire season, who you want us to believe is like super strong, can't beat Riri, and also doesn't have they have a gun and then just don't pull it out until the very end. I was like, did you want to kill her at all? I mean, I just like what's the logic behind not using your gun? I just so much shit. And then like the slug, the hacker, like chases her down in the truck in episode 5. And like Riri beats the shit out of that truck, and Slug gets out of the truck with like not a scratch or a cut on her.
Yeah, I know.
Like or them, and I'm like,
there's too many.
It's just it's everywhere, man. It's like
I don't enjoy I don't enjoy like characters in a lot of new shows these days, like not getting like hurt.
Yeah,
like you don't see any like dirt. You don't see any like bruises. I mean, you saw like a bruise. When Riri's like getting fixed up by her mom.
I was like, oh god, come on, a bruise.
You know, after the Zeke fight.
But we haven't even talked about that fight. That was terrible too.
One thing I did enjoy. There's a scene where Xavier is brought to.
You enjoyed that scene, okay?
Riri in the junkyard because she's having that panic attack.
Yeah,
and he is like, he cares about her, and you can. I feel like you can feel it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then his discovery of Natalie, and he's just like, that is not my sister.
Yeah.
And like, you need to delete that and like get rid of it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that is, it's kind of what's the word? It's kind of like perverted in a way, and I enjoyed his like pushback. I even enjoy the fact that he's like, I'm still not even okay with this, but like I understand like why you still have her around to a certain degree when he comes to help them out.
No,
and
yeah,
also,
I mean,
like I gotta give
probably the best character in the whole show. Maybe
I gotta give shout outs to all the Star Trek references too. So.
True. That was nice in the Star Wars.
They were all
in the first
classic
episode.
TOS Star Trek. They were
nice.
Yeah, which is, I mean,
it's hard to imagine Riri growing up and watching old like 60s Star Trek, but it's possible.
I mean, it's pretty good stuff.
No, I feel you, but like she's even like a decade younger than like us probably is what they're saying, right? So like I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's like a mad stretch. I'm just saying most likely someone from a generation below us is going to not watch that.
Pushback from that, we've seen original Star Wars. 77.
To be fair, that's
80,
like 15
83.
years like after Star Trek comes out.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm just saying. I mean,
stop it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Let's get into episode 6 where it was actually like good. Or do we want to talk about that fight with Ezekiel Stain?
Well, the idea of first of all, yeah, I didn't want it to go the way of him turning villainous.
He was so easy to manipulate.
Even if you want to call it like villainess, but I didn't.
It's like he was like a forced villain.
Yeah, like I didn't want that to happen. It happened. I've seen like images of what he'd look like in the comics, and I think they probably went the smarter way of like not adapting that and making him.
He just looked lame though. I don't
know. I liked his look.
He just had like a jumpsuit on and he had like electric like veins running throughout himself. I don't know.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was okay.
And the thing is like Alden Ehrenreich I still enjoyed his performance. Like, I don't know where you take his character in the future. Like, it seems like they're not done with him, which I think is like a plus. Like, Marvel seems to like kill them off, like kill characters off quickly. And I still enjoy him as a character, and I still enjoy his personality. But I'm like,
the rumor that came out is that like this was supposed to come out before Captain America: Brave New World, and that he was going to be like the creator of the Serpent Society in that movie, and they were all going to be like cyborged and like teched out, everyone in the Serpent Society. So I'm like,
I don't know if I believe that, but
sure, no, I mean, I did see like concept art for it. I don't know how, if it's like super true, if it's just like a rumor, but it seemed like they had plans for him at one point. If that is true, I don't know if they will have plans for him now. Since I think he is one of the weaker parts of the show, unfortunately. But yeah,
I think he was one of the better parts of the show up until they took the villain twist, and then he just got kind of relegated to
I could give you that,
like a reluctant henchman. You know?
Yeah. Like how that's not fun to watch, you know? Like I don't want to watch a reluctant henchman.
It was fine.
It was fine. But yes, episode 6 is when I finally start to enjoy the show again. And right off the bat, the intro to episode 6 is we go back to the flashback with Parker where he's robbing that mansion and he's escaping, and you know they're right on his tail, and he goes into this tunnel, and this mysterious man pops out of nowhere and is like, "Hey, just you need to get out of here, right? Just come through my door, you know?" And super enticing, manipulative, and so this Parker strolls right in, has a meal with him, and obviously at this point, I mean, we're all assuming and can tell that this is Mephisto, which is so exciting. I mean, like I think that whole diner scene where he's just like trying to pull out of Parker like what he wants in life, freezing the family in the background, like it was intimidating and manipulative. Like I loved all of it. Like he was charming. It was. And I think he like carries that throughout like the whole episode. It's a great, I think, performance from Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. I really liked him as Mephisto. I think he did a great job. I never really had a doubt in my mind that he was going to be good because I tend to like Sacha Baron Cohen in most everything that he's done, whether it's the Chicago 5 or whatever that show, that movie that came out a while ago was, or if it's Les Mis, or if it's Sweeney Todd or whatever the fuck it is. I think he's great. And he definitely played a kind of unreliable character. Very enticing yet kind of scummy, but like at the same time, like he was
charmingly manipulative.
He towed the line between like not being entirely malevolent, but also definitely not good. Definitely a little mischievous, something for sure, out of it. Which we still don't necessarily know what that is. He did a great job.
In the episode, he does say like he's influenced like a bunch of like celebrities and rich people, right? And so like it feels like he's trying.
It's like their soul,
Sure, but I also feel like it could be he wants all these people who he basically owns in like places of power, so that he can like do whatever he wants with the world. I think that's a pretty possible solution, and I think Riri is somebody who could very well like reach to the top and get into a position of power because of how smart she is and capable. So I love the fact like that end diner scene where like she's done fighting the Red, or kind of almost called him Red Hood again. She's done fighting the Hood. She goes down the elevator and he's just waiting there, and he like swoops her out of like the suit, and he just has an amazing conversation with her where he reveals he's been watching her. He knows so much about her already, and that she's hurt, and she knows that she's hurting, and uses that as his in to basically make a deal with her. And I think the reveal, at the very end where you're kind of like double playing like the scenes, and it's revealed that like the real Natalie is brought back from the dead, and that she did take the deal, is such a great reveal. It's like one of the best things they did in the entire season for me.
And I mean it's what's really surprising is that she knows what it did to Parker.
And she's still willing, because she misses Natalie that much.
Now I just don't think that it was. I think it like you do get the like you do get it that she misses her,
right?
But I don't think that the show as a whole like built up to how much she needed her or like wanted her. I mean, she definitely wanted her.
I think she didn't realize how much she needed
teetering
her.
on the edge for a little while.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I was surprised that she went that way. I'm happy with it. Like, I think it makes her like, I think it makes her character and her character journey more interesting, and it sets up more interesting scenarios in the future.
I think it means that her character has a lot more like growth and learning to do. Whereas like I thought we were gonna have like a full, 180 moment by the end where she's like, no, I know like what working with like your kind of people does, and like I know what it's done to Parker. I know, like, she's like learned a lot this season, and I thought she would take some of that and really learn by the end. But it's a really exciting choice, honestly.
Yeah,
and I'm really into it.
I don't really know where you go with like.
Yeah, I've seen people say it should be a Champions movie, and that Mephisto's the main villain of that.
I mean, who would be in that? Like who's the main cast of that channel?
I mean, it's basically everyone who's probably been linking to Young Avengers, and they just call it Champions instead.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe that's the way to go.
Right.
I could certainly see that. Which like it could be fine. Like it could be good. But I think that there's still like enough things that are unresolved, and even like the end credits scene where like the Hood is and we didn't even talk about the fact that, well, let me finish my thought. The Hood going to the teenage witch
that was so weird
shop, and like he's obviously wants to either have some sort of redemption arc, or if not a redemption arc, try to get back what he lost in a way. And by the way, I like that teenage witch character. I just think that
I do too.
I think she just wasn't used. I think
the problem is that she was just introduced like out of nowhere. Like she's just like, she's not a character that like Riri was talking to since the first episode. She just like appeared in episode 4, and you're like,
but I thought she was kind of interesting. Like I enjoyed her performance.
No, agreed. But I if I had to place money on it, or if I had to bet, like I don't think we'll ever see Parker or her again, to be honest. Which is why I'm surprised they have that end credit scene.
Well, that's why if they are keeping it, I'm like, I think it makes me think that we are going to see it. And here's why I'm like cool with that, because I thought Anthony Ramos, for the most part, with everything that he was given, elevated all the scenes that he was in. Like I thought Anthony Ramos did a great job as
he was
Parker.
Yeah,
and I loved that. It was shocking to learn that the person that he wanted to, he's taking money and he's getting ownership from all these investment
I thought
firms,
that was a good twist.
And then like the main person who he knew, like it felt like he knew exactly who was coming after him, or maybe he didn't, but it turns out that it's his dad, and he disowned him. He told him, I didn't even want you. I didn't want you anymore. I thought it just best for us to part ways.
Crazy.
And he's like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course he turned out like that. And
all he wants is revenge on his dad.
So like I am sympathetic towards Parker in a way, because he's now his grand motivations, like he doesn't really stand for anything. Like he doesn't really have any goal other than like he
stands for revenge. That's it.
Power and like to be even richer than his father. Like there's that. So I don't really, but I think that he's definitely like messed up from his childhood, and and that stuff with his dad was quite good, I thought.
I agree. I think it could have been elevated a little more. Like if the dad was a character like that we had seen a few times throughout the season, and like maybe an ally of Riri's or something
on that commercial, or not the commercial, but the news.
Oh yeah, we did. You're right.
Which I said, I was like, I think it's that guy.
No, you were right. I was wrong. But yeah, no, I think if he was a little more of like a central figure, and like if it was this big like reveal that that's actually his dad, I think could have played better.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this show that could have played better.
Boy, you're telling me, huh? But yeah, episode 6, I did enjoy for the most part. There was actually a really great scene in the Hood fight where she is using that hologram and like the Hood's like pointing the double guns at her. I mean, it's like one of the most beautifully like lit and shot scenes in the entire show. I was like, where the fuck did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. But that might be the last positive thing I have to say on this show. I did love the spoon reflection. I'll say that. Of Mephisto and the spoon reflection. Did you not see that?
I don't know.
So in the diner, when he's talking to Riri, he's like swirling out his spoon around in his like cup. And at a point he like clanks it on the glass and it shows like his reflection in the spoon and like his real appearance as Mephisto. And it's really cool. It's like
okay,
yeah. No, I'm into it. But yeah.
Yeah. I think I've said everything that I want to say.
Agreed.
Had problems. There's enough in it that I could potentially see myself being down to watch it again. I'm definitely more down to watch it again than, which is surprising. I know it's weird. Like I feel strange that I'm like on the opposite end of like it seems like most people on the internet. But I could be down to I'd be down to watch it again over like Hawkeye and Secret Invasion, and I'd be more willing to watch
Secret Invasion
than like Moon Knight potentially. Like
I think I would be down to watch this, like not for me, but like just to like be with somebody who hasn't seen it yet, right? I think that's a fun experience. I can do that with pretty much anything I've watched. That has cool reveals,
I couldn't do that with Secret Invasion.
Yeah,
I couldn't sit down and watch that with somebody. So.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, you're proving you're not proving my point.
Disproving your point.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a show I would sit down and watch with somebody. I would say purely for a few moments throughout the show, and one being basically all of episode 6. So, yeah.
Well, that's all my thoughts.
That's all mine. So thank you guys for sitting through our long review of Ironheart. There was a lot to say and complain about and slightly praise about.
And praise.
Yeah. So we appreciate you sticking with us, and we will see you all in the next review.
Till next time.